Alright everybody, the last series of the day is about to start. We have Battlefield of Eternity as our final, the start to the final series of the day. We are currently looking at Dignitas versus the Silenced Monkeys, and the winner of this is going to make it to Dreamhack Tours. 3 teams have already qualified. For today, the last team is going to be determined in this series. Battlefield of Eternity is going to be our first map, and we have bans on Illidan and Falset again, as I'm casting here with Tetcher, and we're going to see what the Silenced Monkeys are going to do now that they start things off with Tyrande and have the next 2 picks in the game.
Yeah, Tyrande has been very, very highly prioritized by basically every team, and she's actually managed to make her way up from like 3rd and 4th picks to 1st picks in the time it's taken us to get through this tournament so far, because we are in our last series.
Exactly, and well, right now Dignitas, of course, being a bit of a favorite going into this series, but the Silenced Monkeys have already qualified for the tournament in Leicester, the first regional final for Europe, and they are definitely a team that is not easy to beat, so you have to be quite careful here. And Dignitas has already struggled in a few of their games. They didn't qualify in the first qualifier, they lost actually that series against Na'Vi in the semifinals. Now they find themselves in the same round again, but the Silenced Monkeys have a lot of opportunities how to actually start this off here. Greymane is being picked. Tyrande, great of course also for the burst against the Immortals. And in this particular setup right now, the Silenced Monkeys could also aim again for one of these double support builds, which I actually think is more or less a given. Uther and Rhaegar are great additions to Tyrande if you want to make sure that you enable a hero like Greymane to go balls deep in these fights.
Yeah, now it is basically the option of whether they want to maybe pick up that Uther now to deny it away from Team Dignitas, or whether they, well, it looks like they want to pick up Li Ming, which means Dignitas has the opportunity to ban another warrior from the side of the Silenced Monkeys and then pick the Uther or whatever supports they want for themselves.
We have pretty cool warriors around now, though, after the Haka got also added to the draft. I mean, we have the Haka that you can go for. We have also Stitches. Johanna is always an option. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do. Even Diablo has made more or less a bit of a comeback after the global finals in Korea, especially with Tyrande, Diablo still being a huge thing. And Dignitas is actually catering towards that. They're attempting to take pre-stuns away from Tyrande as a follow-up, so a Diablo ban on their part now to make sure that it's a little bit more tricky for the Silenced Monkeys to really go for a stun train.
Yeah, and Silenced Monkeys, they were thinking about picking Li Ming. Instead, looks like they are going to ban it. They don't want to deal with it. They wanted it for themselves. They're not going to give it over to Team Dignitas.
Yeah, and Dignitas at this point, I mean, they still need damage. They also need, of course, a healer, and it could be an Uther, considering that they're running with an ETC here. And in terms of the damage output, they're looking at... I mean, the Sonya would be kind of fun, but that Zeratul would have been very annoying for especially Tyrande. With Warble Blades, you can always leech down to her. A few ranged heroes would probably be a pretty good idea, though. And I feel Vala would be a good addition here. They could go for Sylvanas, which we've seen a little bit earlier, thanks to the barbed shot. And I would still expect them to go also for one of those strong healers, Rhaegar or Uther. Uther would help with the ETC Mosh Pit into Divine Shield, or the other way around. Dignitas, they definitely did a bit of damage output here.
Yeah, I agree. So Vala, very solid for them. We know they like it. We know it's good. And like I said before, the Uther, incredibly solid at the moment and would work out very well for them. That is what they pick up first, because they know that is anything that they want. Now they can spend the rest of this time thinking about which assassin they want for their damage.
Yeah, I like the Uther at this point. Damage is something that they need. Single target damage thanks to Vala would be great. Sylvanas would be a good option too. If they're more worried about the vision on the map, they can even head into something along the lines of Zagara. Even though Zagara has fallen off just a little bit recently, other heroes have taken over that position a bit. It depends a lot on the map. We are especially seeing Zagara, of course, still being played on a map like Dragonshire, for example. Akelithas would also be a good option. It's not really like that single target damage that you get with a Vala or with Sylvanas, but you get a lot of poke from a safe distance. There's a lot of heroes around it you can see that would give a lot of value to Dignitas setup.
Yeah, very true. And you mentioned Zagara. Zagara actually has one of the most... it is Kael'thas that is picked up. Love it. But Zagara has one of the weirdest histories in terms of pick rates out of any hero, in the fact that she hasn't had huge changes to her kit in a lot of cases, but she'll appear in the meta for ages and people are like, oh, Moore is so good, Moore is so game-changing. And then she'll disappear from the meta for a while, and then she'll come back with almost no changes once again. She sort of adjusts where she's picked in the meta depending on what else is powerful at the moment.
Yeah, it's definitely true. I mean, Zagara, she has been popular for a long time, but it's also a huge difference between the regions that we had for ages there. Where Zagara in some regions has been picked constantly as one of the first picks, whereas on other regions she was completely disregarded for a long time. You're totally right on that. Stitches has been picked by the Silence Monkeys, by the way, so with Diablo banned out, they can't rely on Diablo Tyrande, but Stitches Tyrande is also a thing, and it's actually something that we've seen by a lot of teams already earlier today, so this is what they're currently aiming for. A Vala for extra range damage. This is what the Silence Monkeys are committed to at this point. And Dignitas, they still need a bit more damage. I still hold true to that Zagara Sylvanas. Zeratul, as we said before, would work as well. Oh, Lunara, didn't even think about her. That would actually not be too bad either, especially with the Nature's Culling on level 7. That's a really good point.
I also love Lunara because you want to, if you want to run a solo Tyrande healer, when we're gonna maybe try and force you at least off of that Starfall.
Yeah.
Because Lunara, if you don't have the heals for her, she's going to ruin your team.
That is actually really cool. I'm a bit surprised that, like, in hindsight now, that Vala is being played here. I feel like Itasada would have done a pretty incredible job at also adding a bit of damage that you can poke with, but also making it a bit easier to keep the team alive here. And Dignitas with a very smart move here on the last pick. Lunara with Nature's Culling on level 7 is going to be amazing against the Immortal. Doesn't even have to go for the talent though, since all of that damage that she can dish out is going to be great against a Tyrande solo healer. Very, very good point here. So guys, we're going to jump into our first game. Battlefield of Eternity, Dignitas, going up against the Silence Monkeys. Welcome to the last best of 3 series of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Dignitas versus the Silenced Monkeys. Well, not so silenced anymore. 3 of the team are silenced currently, apparently. In the loading screen, it looked like only 1 of them was. But, well, as the game starts up, we have to the left side of the map currently Bakery on Uther, Mena on Kalthas for Team Dignitas, Snitch on Lunara. We see Booby on ETC and JPL on Mirrodin. To the right side of the map, it's the Silence Monkeys with Blakidney on Greymane. We have Krolo on Tyrande, Gluehammer on Stitches, Mopsio on Thrall, and Shipley on Vala. Game number 1 on Battlefield of Eternity, the last series of the day. And also, the last chance for these 2 teams to qualify here at the second qualifier for Dreamhack Tours.
Yeah, but have no fear. Even if they do not qualify through this one, there is a last chance qualifier. But these teams want to secure their place. You have no idea what's going to happen in a couple days' time. And having a look at the level 1 talents, we are seeing the Vala going with Rancor this time.
Shipley is basically Mr. Vala at this point, and he's playing the hero whenever he can. It went so far that some teams started to target ban Vala against them. And in this case, currently, we're seeing him basically all the time with Rancor on level 1. He really loves to go for all that auto-attack damage, and we are going to see him very likely also heading straight into the Rain of Vengeance, which so far at least has been his preferred heroic ability. A lot of Vala players like the safety a little bit more and go for strafe, but he has constantly picking Rain of Vengeance. Might be a bit of a different case here now, but it's definitely something that he loves to do. And in terms of damage output, it's going to be great for him. But this, of course, is only the start of the best of 3 series, and, well, with the Kalthas in the midst, we see Dignitas with a very different plan on what's going on here.
Yeah, but now they're just leaving the Lunara up in the top lane to lane against the Greymane with Mirrodin on his way up for a little bit of a gank. But yeah, Dignitas just keeping Kalthas very, very far back. So far back, he's behind the gate so that he can't get hooked. Because if he does get hooked, it's the combo. So he moves around, making sure to keep the minion wave or a fellow hero in between him and Stitches.
And one of the things that I personally find still very amazing is that Lunara pick that we saw there. Against that Tyrande, it's going to be so tricky to deal with all that damage. They really have to try and burst Lunara down if they get the chance to do that. And they have a lot of heroes, actually, that could attempt to do that. But for now, we are seeing, again, damage dished out, and with Tyrande in their midst and also Vala for the single target damage, we are seeing the Silence Monkey in a situation where they could do exactly that. Attempt to go for Whoopi, but in this case, the ETC gets out of there.
The ETC able to power slide out and now thinking about rejoining his team, but right now they are just on the defensive, letting Lunara start on the enemy Immortal, but Greymane put up a bit of a defense for it, so Lunara is soaking some more XP before she tries again.
Yeah, down here on the other hand, ETC went deep, and the kill against Tyrande. Great play here. Mena is also on point again with the damage on his Kalthas.
That was a 4-man flame strike. That was really, really nice. Doing so much damage here, and now they're going to get another kill here. They take down Thrall as well. That Immortal is very safe, and while all this is happening, Lunara has still been murdering the crap out of that Immortal in the top lane. She's finally got a bit of contention, but Greymane can't take the risk because they don't know where all of Dignitas are.
Yeah, Mana Tap now chosen on 4, and their talent lead alone is already putting a stop to the aggression on the side of the Silence Monkeys. We're seeing the Nimble Wisp, we have double neck guitar after rolling like a stone, and their opening into the game here is absolutely amazing for them. 50% on the Immortal. There's the dodge on the hook, and they are trying to burst this down fast. But now with the level 4 talents, we're seeing the Silence Monkeys trying to go for a fight again.
Yeah, Gluehammer going for the full slam build here, so he's trying to drop some damage, trying to push through, and a bit of a living bomb onto Black Kidney. He's able to pull back without spreading the bomb to everyone else.
Yeah, Splee is currently in a situation where he's with his Vala just dancing around in the back line, waiting for a chance to maybe put some damage on, and that's an opportunity that he gets right away. Bakery blasted into the next universe right there, and that was a great kill and exactly what they needed. A little bit tricky at this point for Dignitas, but of course only 8 seconds until Bakery is going to be back.
Yeah, so it's not too bad right now. ETC just delaying the Silence Monkeys as much as possible while the rest of his team takes down the Immortal, because they wanted the maximum amount of health with it. Unfortunately, the Silence Monkeys did do a very good job of doing some good damage to that Immortal, so it won't do too much, and it is, of course, the first Immortal, so they should get away with defending this quite easily.
Their damage output is crazy. I mean, Tyrande, in this case, with the Vulnerable, at the same time then single target damage thanks to Vala, they have so much that they can add here, not even mentioning Greymane. Mene whiffing the Gravity Labs, that was a bit unfortunate. He expected Mopsio to try and dodge to the left, which didn't really happen. A kill here would of course been amazing for them. At the top lane, as you said, the first Immortal is not really going to be able to do too much, not without Sylvana's support. So right now, the wall is all that he gets, and not even the second tower.
Yeah, so for now, we are seeing the XP in favor of Dignitas by almost a full level, but the Silence Monkey's not going to go down without a fight on that one. They are still getting as much as they can, but with this bot lane, first tower going to go down to minions. Second one already being started on. It has no ammo. Tyrande and Valor and Stitch is still a little bit away, and will be able to pull back before he's in danger. That tower going to be very easy for them to take down at a later time.
Yeah, and well, they will do that pretty soon, but they have the extra talent right now. And okay, Whoopi just dodges that stun, is able to stun out Mopsio, and that's the end of Thrall. Well done. Nature's Culling, as expected, the level 7 talent on Lunara, by the way. So we're going to see that come into play with the next Immortal very soon. The Burnt Flesh once more as the mostly standard talent on Kel'Thas right now. And we have again camps taken at the bottom of the map. Lunara at the top, the only one going up against Greymane here, but a very solid leading experience now. And yeah, things are looking good for Dignitas.
Yeah, it's looking very good. They're actually really synergizing well together. Maida and Whoopi especially ETC into those multiple people flame strike, which of course is getting the value out of that burnt flesh. They've been really doing well with basically every shot they fire.
Battle momentum taken for Tyrande for even more cooldown reduction here. Like, massive commitment to that. We're also seeing Tenderizer plus the searing attacks, and on the side of Thrall, the follow-through. Here's the Immortal time again. Uh-oh, the hook and stun, and Bakery is dead. That's exactly the kind of moves that the Silence Monkeys have to make here if they want to survive in this game.
Yeah, those picks are pretty strong. Bakery does not have a huge amount of escape of his own. Whoopi able to get out of the stun thanks to the Just Keep Rocking talent he took. Big damage onto Mopsio. There's the hook. Snitch able to pull back though thanks to his extra movement speed of being Lunara. But Whoopi annihilated by the single target damage of Vala. JPL able to drop the stun and get out for himself.
Very cool fights that we're seeing right now. I'm liking this. We are seeing Lunara barely escaping and ETC taken down by Shubli on his Vala. Well done here. Bot lane pressure thanks to the double camp on the other hand, and that forced the Silence Monkeys back. Now with Nature's Culling, Lunara could start to move in. Snitch already at the top lane, doing more or less the exact same thing as the Silence Monkey at the bottom of the map, trying to deep push this. Mena is helping out, and they're actually trying to head into level 10 with this now too. If they can delay the Immortal being taken by Silence Monkeys for a little bit longer, while they get the extra experience, that is exactly what they are going to achieve here. And once they hit the level 10, there's no way for the Silence Monkeys to fight this anymore.
Yeah, that is their plan. The Mercenaries in the bot lane will take down structures, which should help them. They're just going to go for a kill to give them this level 20 at the moment. Trying to focus Gluehammer, but Whoopi may die too. They do. They get the 1-for-1, and they didn't actually get level 10 from it, which is not good for Dignitas at all. But it is only a tank for a tank, so right now they're just able to pull back, continue to play defensively around their own objective, but it does mean that now the Silence Monkeys have time to roam down to the bot lane and quickly kill off these Mercenaries.
Finally the level 10 as well, and that is the moment when Snitch is starting to move in. He went for the Thornwood Vines here, and they are starting to put that Nature's Culling to some good use. Nice damage here against the Immortal, trying to pressure that down. But of course at this point we're seeing the Silence Monkeys trying to contest it a little bit. Kel'Thas could even jump in and use the Phoenix to zone them out slightly, but he's going to wait for the Immortal to reshift positions to not waste that heroic.
Yeah, he's trying to be very careful with this. But now, we're seeing Dignitas still keeping control of the middle area, but with, like you said, the Greymane and the Valor Soak, they're able to bring themselves up to level 10 very, very soon. But they're just going to raise the Immortal. Dignitas will win this quite significantly, but they were. But look how quickly they were able to catch up with Valor there. It's so much damage.
Dignitas is oftentimes in the last two Immortals when they were going for the race at the end, they made a bit of a mistake, I feel. They always had like one or two heroes that already mounted up because they wanted to move onto the lane. And the problem that they have with this is that they kind of underestimated with the burst damage that we're seeing for the Silence Monkeys. As we said before, with them only running Tyrande as a solo support, even with Starfall right now. I mean, we have Starfall, we have Rain of Vengeance, as kind of expected. And all of these heroics, this is just amazing damage that they can put out. And this is something where they cannot let go of the Immortal just for one moment. But nice, Whoopi moving in, again zoning out Gluehammer here. He saves himself with a Devour. They go for JPL, he jumps out. Whoopi got the Divine Shield here. Great damage output once again on both sides. Nobody dying in that encounter, but the fort has still been eliminated.
Yeah, Owl does hit Snitch, but there's no Ranger on it yet, so he will be fine. Immortal taken down after doing some damage to the tier 2 tower, but Team Dignitas able to keep everyone alive there despite a very nice Starfall from the Tyrande. They're doing a great job as Krolu. It does so much damage now.
Like, the whole idea that we're seeing on the side is basically like, they are saying, why would we play defensive? Why do we need heal? We have damage. That's basically what the Silence Monkeys are currently saying. Uther, of course, once that hits Benediction, is going to make their life a lot harder. Supports are usually picking up towards the later stages of the game quite a lot, especially with their heroics. And that panic button that we see with the Divine Shield already saved in the last fight, JPL there. So that was really important. And yeah, right now, it's of course a slight lead still for Dignitas, but they are in a situation where they have to be very, very careful. If Stitches lands one good hook, that can turn the fight around within moments.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to be so careful. Stitches just went for the full slam build, but didn't take the extra damage on the poison. He took Tenderizer just to add even more lockdown to his team. Wubby, though, spots the rotation here, but puts himself in a seriously dangerous position. Hook does hits, follow-up stun hits, but just keep rocking. And I think the cleanse from Bakery there was able to keep him alive.
Yeah, that was an important one. Keeping him alive here was definitely crucial. Top lane, by the way, being pushed now. We are seeing, oh nice, the camp is actually taking down the Shaman immediately. That's amazing for them. So with the Shaman being eliminated here, that's great. Couldn't be any better. So that camp is not going to get any value for the Silence Monkeys. Immortal being announced again, mid lane, or in the middle of the map. Already Gluehammer positioned, looking for another hook opportunity. If he gets one against Snitch, that would be great, but dodged already.
Yeah, able to get out of there pretty nicely. So, Owl being used to give Gluehammer some more vision, knows he can walk in here and help clear up this wave with his slam without putting himself in too much danger. Dignitas, though, just below him, stealing this mercenary camp, so that even more pressure is on this lane, keeping them busy for that little bit longer. Wubby lands the stun onto Krolu. Krolu getting poisoned, and he is gone. In comes the Starfall, but not getting anything out of this because Dignitas have already retreated.
Yeah, that Starfall is not going to do anything. He was trying to throw it out to make sure that nobody could follow that up. Was maybe even thinking he could save himself, but that didn't work. Whoopi is still there. He has his mosh pit up. If they can get a lockdown, that would be great for them. We have a spell shield on Whoopi's side and unfair advantage for Lunara. Now, of course, a great situation again. Not only do they have 13, they have also a free shot at the Immortal again as Tyrande is just now coming back into the game.
Yeah, so Tyrande will be on the way here. She'll be able to throw out some owls, just give her team some vision to work out whether they can go back in, or at least if Dignitas are going to come down to bot lane to defend against this hardcore push from the Silence Monkeys, which Muradin has at least started to already. And we are seeing the engage onto Mopsio there, and he goes down before the Sundering can activate. Bakery getting focused by Blakeney, and he will go down to the poison as well. Nicely done by Dignitas.
That CC stun or train that we have for Dignitas is crazy. I mean, we're talking a lot about the CCs on the side of the Silence Monkeys, and they definitely have a lot of it. But if you look at what currently Dignitas is bringing to the table on that regard, it's insane. I mean, they have not only the stun on Muradin with the Stormbolt, but then the ETC with the Power Slide, can even go for the pushback with the Face Melt, has the chance to go into a mosh pit on top of that too, and then we still have Kel'Thas with the Gravity Lapse, plus Uther with his own stun, so it's absolutely out of this world how much they can lock a single target down and apply damage. They were able to kill Mopsio several times already because of it.
They also even get a slow from Lunara, so even after all the stuns are gone, you still aren't running away very fast.
Well, 13 versus 13 now, and we have already Giant Killer twice. Whoopi in a bit of trouble, but here comes that Immortal, and I mean, that is a full shield Immortal. Snitch is a bit in trouble down here at the bottom, not too much though, but needs to wait out the Putrid Bile. Already Sundering being used, great Rain of Vengeance, but the Divine Shield is saving Mane. JPL is low, but gets away for now. They're trying to go for, again, Greymane, and they might get the kill here. JPL gets healed, and Blake Kidney is dead, and oh my god, Whoopi with the mosh pit. They eliminate Thrall again, and that Immortal has a free shot at the keep now.
Yeah, beautiful mosh kit coming down there. Absolutely well played. Snitch and Maida able to deal the damage beautifully. And like we said before, those Flame Strikes with ETC combo working very, very well. They're pushing all the way to core. The Immortal still has quite a lot of health, actually. They're just going to end the game here.
Yeah, they're going for it, and there's no reason why they shouldn't. 3 heroes are down. Greymane is going to be back in a moment, but look at those hit points racing down to 0. This is game 3 level lead. Dignitas with a lead in the best of 3 series. Great play, and they win it on Battlefield of Eternity. Alright guys, we are back with the next game here. Dignitas versus the Silence Monkeys on Sky Temple. And we have our second draft starting with Dignitas being ahead 1-0 in the series. Illidan banned out and a ban on Falsight on part of the Silence Monkeys here. Well, the first pick this time for Tyrande for Team Dignitas. So Tyrande definitely one of the heroes that is being fought over quite a bit at this point.
Yeah, everyone's liking her at the moment. But once again, that does give first choice on Assassins and Warriors. Or just main supports over to whichever team doesn't pick Tyrande. In this case, the Silence Monkeys, who pick up the first pick on the Warrior, the Muradin, and the first pick on the Assassins, that Greymane.
Yeah, and at this point, it looks like we are going to see that ETC being put into play again. And that is going to be once more a little bit similar to what we've already had in the last series, because it's going to be one of those stun chains that Dignitas is working towards. Tyrande plus ETC is great, since you can have the additional stun with ETC and Tyrande following it up, and then you get some burst out of it. The Silence Monkeys are looking for the burst damage on the side of Greymane here, but Dignitas definitely working towards, at least so far, a very similar composition to what they've been running in the last game.
Yeah, so just adding in a bit of extra stunnage in the form of the Tyrande this time. It worked kind of over the Silence Monkeys last time. They were able to get some good snipes on it. Just nice saves from Dignitas really is what kept them from losing loads of people.
Prepared.
And Noctis, thank you very much for the sub, my friend. Cheers for the support, bro. But yeah, with those stuns that we have, though so far Dignitas not really committing to the next pick here. In the last game they run oh, I love it. They ran a double tank and Muradin is picked away, but they still have the Haka on the map. And as we've been pointing out in a couple of games that were played before, the Haka is actually great on this map because there's a lot of bushes around the temples.
Yeah, and the Dahaka is locked in, so now they have that global presence, and with Falstad banned out, there's not a huge amount of counter to this unless Silence Monkeys want to go into something like an Abatha or a Vikings, in which case Dahaka can at least slightly try and counter them that way.
Yeah, Silence Monkeys, first of all, getting rid of Li Ming here, but Dignitas already with a very good draft here. We've seen a lot of like CCs being chained by teams before that were using the Haka, and this setup that Dignitas already has is again very scary. I mean, ETC with a stun, the Haka with a similar situation. We're having also Tyrande. The only thing that they really still need is damage, and we have so many heroes still that they could be used for that. I still personally expect that the Silence Monkeys are going to be the ones to try and pick Vala up again. Shipley is just like one of the players that loves Vala, and if they get their hands on her, they will use her in this setup.
Yeah, I mean, his damage output on every single time that they were able to single target focus the Immortal was insane. Yeah. And even in fights, his focus was pretty good. It was just Dignitas did an amazing job of keeping each other alive in the fights in general.
Breeze with the resub here as well. Thanks for that, bro, and congratulations once again for qualifying earlier. The Thrall ban, by the way, also catering a little bit towards the Silence Monkeys' focus on Thrall. Mopsy has been playing the hero in nearly every game that we've seen so far on their part, so they have definitely a huge preference on a couple of heroes. And Team Dignitas, of course, they don't really want to deal with the Sundering, especially since ETC is going to look for a mosh pit in these cases. But already Mopsio has no chance of picking Thrall up. We have still the opportunity for them to go into maybe even an Uther to support Greymane here, but mostly the Vala, that's something that I would still expect for them, since Shipley really loves to play that hero, and as you already pointed out, the direct damage that we get from her is something that they're still missing a little bit, even though Greymane is of course a great finisher.
Yeah,
and they switch actually
finisher.
between the two of them.
Yeah, Greymane is a great finisher, but they actually have the now they have giant killers on their team, which is something very important considering Dignitas are running that double tank setup. And Valor, that level 13 giant killer, going to be super useful, and Greymane actually has the option if he wants to go with a bit more of a Worgen build, because Uther is still open for them. He could take the Alpha Killer talent himself and get a bit of percentage damage too, and there is that Uther for the Silence Monkeys.
Yeah, so Uther, Vala, the two heroes that we just talked about, are being picked. They are liking that choice here, and of course with them taking Uther, they also take it away from ETC with that Mosh Pit, which is another big deal for them here. Dignitas, they played with the Lunara in the last game. They don't necessarily have to play the same style now. They still have Kel'Thas available, which they could use. They already rocked that in the last game. And again, Kel'Thas is also adding another CC to their setup here, as is. The only question is really, are they willing to play a Tyrande as the solo support, or are they going to try and put a second one in as well? Because in this setup, they still have Zeratul. I'm not quite sure if I would really like that Zeratul too much at this point, to be honest with you. Kel'Thas is something that I feel would add a bit more for them, and the Rhaegar. I like this a lot, yeah. That makes more sense.
They are relying on Tyrande and Kel'Thas as they're basically damage dealers now, because Kel'Thas obviously relies on the cooldown reduction, but build-wise, he has been able to go with his builds have become a lot more varied, so the cooldown base spell damage that he used to do is no longer as much of a problem, which is one of the reasons we're seeing him picked so much.
Exactly. And, well, Stitches now with... Stitches, they have a very tough front line. It actually makes sense for them to go for a second tank. They have a few alternatives to Stitches as well that they could go for. They don't necessarily have to go for him. But if they add Stitches, they have probably a slam build in mind, which gives them a lot of damage. And that's something that they can still use here, especially since Stitches himself, together with Muradin, is making for a very, very tough front line here. And there's actually no giant killer for Dignitas available. So Dignitas will have to make sure that they try to isolate these two heroes if they want to take them down. It's a little bit of a tricky setup for Dignitas, but I feel with the damage output that they have, with the Tyrande here, the Starfall potentially, they have what it takes to really claim this victory right now. The Silence Monkeys, on the other hand, are doing their best to make sure that at least a third map has to be played between the two teams. So as we have Will subscribing here, welcome to the club, my friend. We're going to head into game number 2 between the two teams here at our last best of 3 of the day. Team Dignitas going up against the Silence Monkeys. Game number 2, everybody, has just started. It is Sky Temple, and it might be the last map of the day. To the left side, Dignitas with the 1-0 lead in the best of 3 series. Bakery on Rhaegar. We have Whoopi on the Haka, Whoop Whoop, and JPL on ETC. Main is playing the Fire Mage again. He loves to do that. Snitch on Tyrande this time. And to the right side of the map, we see the Silenced Monkeys with Mopsio on Murden, Shipley on Vala, Gluehammer on Stitches, Krolu on Uther, and Bullkidney on Greymane. They lost the last game pretty hard then there in the end on Battlefield of Eternity. They find themselves down 1 game. They need to win 2 in a row now if they want to make it to Dreamhack Tours, at least in this qualifier. Let's find out if they can make it happen. Whoopi already with a drag here gets, on the other hand, hooked himself. Uses the burrow immediately, but again the stun as Mopsio moves in and down goes the Haka. Yeah, that was a good opening for the Silence Monkeys here, getting kill number 1.
Yeah, and they're shoving off their single target focus damage at the moment. Valor taking that Rancor at level 1, really helping them out, and they had the heavy slam, the increased damage from Stitches too, so they're just trying to focus people down. JPL saving Bakery there, very nice job.
Yeah, the sun coming in again. The Haka is also on the move once more. Rancor again for Vala. Shipley loves to go for the extra 30% attack damage, which is crazy, of course. We are seeing the Haka going straight into the Primal Aggression on 1. We have the Felon Fusion again, and even the speed on Rhaegar. Nice jump by Mopsio. That was totally worth it here. In the nick of time jumping out of this. The Invulnerable Flames saving him, and that was a close call.
Yeah, it looked like Bakery was actually considering going in wolf form to try and finish him off from the top there, but decided, I guess, they tried to just put down a totem, see if the team would follow up, but they decided against it due to Vala and Uther being so close.
Yeah, I would have totally gone for Muradin there, and I would have died a painful death with Muradin escaping.
Yeah, it would have been healed just last moment before the flame ticked him. Oh, it always happens.
It's the moment when you rage at your monitor. It's like, why? Never lucky. Wooby at the bot lane, still talking the experience against the Kidney. The Temples, on the other hand, the first ones at least, are going to be announced now, so we're going to see them fighting over these shots. Mobs here already in position, and both of these teams actually looking at a double frontline right now with 2 tanks that they are playing here. Especially in the case of Stitches, of course, a focus on the damage build instead. But we're having Stitches currently in the mid lane, starting to move over, and Mena is just like sneaking in. He's a devious mage, and he's attempting to sneak a few of these shots away after he takes the experience.
Yeah, it's taking the experience as well. Dahaka in at the bottom lane has just tunneled up to the top lane. He's done taking experience. He wanted Valor, but Valor with a nice Volt keeps herself alive in the top lane. But with Maida coming here, they're trying to go for Cronu. Cronu self-heals, and Bakery gets himself hooked. In comes the sun from Mulcio from above. Bakery is going to get out barely.
Wow, that was very, very close call there. Bakery able to get to the well, and now they can go for their shots again. The problem for them is that the Silent Monkeys are actually doing an incredible job soaking all of this. Whoopi with a drag. Here comes Mena. Is he going to get the stuns in? Oh my god, Snitch, you god. What a nice stun here with a flare. They get the kill, but it's still 1 kill versus a kill here, and that fight is not over just yet.
Yeah, and right now the Silence Monkeys actually have the lead in XP due to the fact they've taken most of the shots from this top lane. However, Mopsio very nearly died to the Guardians there, but he will get the final few shots from that temple. Dignitas, though, gonna get pretty much all the shots from this middle temple unless this raid from the Silence Monkeys can do anything, which it will actually do because Dignitas not reacting as a group because Rhaegar still stuck in the top lane.
Yeah, Wooby, by the way, is currently going for the one who collects on level 4 instead of the hero stalker, so that means that he's not really looking for the extra essence during the team fights with takedowns, but instead wants to have more lane sustain, going for minions here. Nice lockdown against Stitches, though, and the kill. That was a great coordination again on the side of Team Dignitas. Well played.
Yeah, they're very good with this lockdown train, like we said before. Every single one of them at CC, they have 4 stuns plus plus some very severe slows as well, and some knockbacks. It's going to be very hard to get out of there. Whereas on the side of the Silence Monkeys, though, they have 2 stuns plus a hook, and then whatever Vala ends up taking later, she can take extra slow, she can take extra stun, whatever she feels like.
Symbiosis taken again, and now on level 7 we are seeing again Burned Flesh, Netherwind into Burned Flesh now taken. And in this case, actually, once again, quite interesting to see that Dehaka is immediately put up to the top lane. He, of course, wants to go down to the bottom of the map once the temple is being announced. It allows them to gain a bit more experience here. But a great push happening on the side of Dignitas as they're taking down the first tower, and they make that siege giant camp work for them. They have the early level 7, and they use that perfectly to get a slight lead. Dehaka even claiming vision at the top, whereas the Silence Monkeys are pretty busy defending against the camp first.
Yeah, they're going to be clearing that as quick as they can, but they are slowly falling behind in XP thanks to this Dahaka push. Muradin finally moving up to the top area, going to take the watchtower and begin to de-push against this Dahaka push that has happened, while Dignitas begins on the mercenaries.
Dignitas goes for the mercenaries on the Bruiser side, but we already have another camp taken by their opponents. Silence Monkeys claimed the 2 siege giants at the bot lane, where we only see Snitch defending against, though. We have a slightly experience still for Dignitas, and actually if they play this right, with Wooby at the top going up against Mopsir here, they might be able to translate that into level 10, while we still have the temple active at the bottom of the map. It depends a little bit on how they're going to run with this, but Wooby could also just simply jump down if he wants to and help his team out here. Up at the top, it's still nearly no... Look at the towers here, they're so low. Wooby can take 1 or 2 of them down, and that might bring them close enough to level 10.
Yeah, but Wooby may need to come down here, because we are going to see the 5-man push coming in from the Silence Monkeys here, because they need to take control of this shrine. Oh, Valor actually died to the Living Bombs, but they needed to take control of the shrine before the heroics came, and instead they're now going down in a 4 versus 5. That's 2 deaths. That's gonna be 3 deaths. And Dignitas taking a decisive win, a decisive lead here.
Wow. I mean, like, they get the level 10, which is a big, big deal, of course, and the disengage on the side of the Silence Monkeys is just a bit too late. They lose, as you pointed out, Vala too early to the Living Bombs, and then once the heroic abilities hit, they just jump in and take them apart. Claim death after death and kill after kill. Really well done, and they have a 2-level lead now, and it's not only stopping there. They did so much damage at the top lane, where Whoopi was the entire time just pressuring structures and went through the entire wall with the camp. Now we're still seeing more shots taken down here. Snitch actually has to move back because he was really low after fighting the Guardians, but it puts pressure onto the mid lane now as well. So they find themselves in a fantastic position to claim a huge lead on Sky Temple, and this is map number 2.
Yeah, this is map number 2. The shot's going over to Dignitas. And, well, Silence Monkeys looking a little bit wobbly. They finally got their level 10s here. While they're trying to de-push all of their lanes, their mid 4 is very low and very vulnerable here. But level 10-wise, we do see extra stun for them. The Rain of Vengeance, Divine Shield, Putrid Bile, Avatar, and the Go for the Throat.
Yeah, JPL is going for Mopsio. He can still jump out here, of course, but Rhaegar needs to reposition himself a little bit. Rain of Vengeance completely whiffed, doesn't hit anything. Starfall and Phoenix for the zone, but the kill against Tyrande is opening up a great opportunity now for the Silence Monkeys. The Mosh Pit, on the other hand, against 4 heroes. 4 of them caught in the Mosh Pit. JPL with a value heroic here, and now they go for Mopsio to complete another kill. Even the Uther Ghost can't keep him alive, or can he?
No! There we go.
It's a quad kill, and JPL, well, he might fall. And he does. Bakery, you stingy dog. Not going for the Ancestral in time. Look at that. Too greedy to commit the cooldown. If I'm JPL, I would be pissed. I'm like, dude, I get a 4-man mosh pit off, you don't heal me. I actually follow that guy, take him down too, and I still don't get an Ancestral. What's wrong with you?
Oh dear. I'm going to go ahead and call cooldowns because it actually was cast earlier and got interrupted, but it's much more fun to imagine that he's just like, nah, not worth it.
I am not giving him the benefit of the doubt. Bakery, he failed ETC. Yeah, poor Jay, poor Jay.
Yeah.
It might have been the cooldown, you're right.
Bakery's dead. Doesn't matter. Bakery, his death is on Bakery's hands.
Exactly. He was at Bakery's mercy, and Bakery let him fall.
Oh dear. So back to the game that isn't blaming Bakery. The two the two temples are spawning in the mid lane and the bottom lane will be continuing to give his team a big lead here. They have a talent advantage. Stitch is getting locked down here. Vulnerable is dropped on him. Gravity Labs just misses. And back to the Putrid Bile. He is able to escape.
Yeah, we have 14 versus 12, so still a 2-level lead, and both of the teams are now going for a couple of shots on the temple. We're seeing at the same time now with the 13 talents that we still don't have for the Silence Monkeys. Of course, the Whirling Dervish again, Face Melt, Fission Bomb, and the sprint for the cooldown. Sorry, for the repositioning. Yeah, down here, once they see JPL, they're running, and I don't blame them. I mean, we've seen amazing mosh there. Shipley! Oh, it was so close!
He was so close! Down he goes.
So close. Never lucky. Hashtag never lucky.
Yeah, so Wubby's now going to be left down here to start taking at this temple, getting all the shots from that, whereas everyone else from Dignitas rotating up to the mid lane where they're going to try and fight over this temple. Mopsio delaying this out while the rest of his team makes their way up here from the mid lane, but they are still a hero down. It's going to be a 4 versus 4 with Whoopi in the bottom lane, and Whoopi can come join the fight at any time.
And, I mean, even with a level 13 talent, just look how fast Dignitas is aiming for 16 here. They will get the extra talent any moment now. Already the last few shots soaked down here. And, well, Whoopi didn't waste any time. He immediately jumped up to the top lane into one of these bushes and is now soaking even more experience for his team. They have the level 16 talent right now. JPL is being attacked again, but they all just simply escape. They are playing just like cat and mouse with the Silence Monkeys the entire time, and it's working beautifully well for them. Especially their coordination during the fights is incredible. These CC chains are beautiful.
Yeah, it's been going really, really well for them. And we actually have a talent on Bakery here to help take down the tanks. The Hunger of the Wolf. So that his wolf attacks do an extra 5% of a target's max health and heals him for 5% of his own max health. So you have the burnt flesh from the Kale Pass, you have Hunger of the Wolf. Stitches and Muradin actually going to get targeted without a single giant killer.
Yeah. That, in this case, makes a lot of sense, to be honest. And it's one of those things that we oftentimes don't see. We sometimes see it actually against Cho'Gall, but right now against Muradin and against Stitches, Mopsio is already in trouble, and he has a lot of fans here. 4 heroes following him. Divine Shield is being used. He might not... Yeah, he's barely surviving with this. A bit of a zoning Rain of Vengeance that is being used here. Didn't really intend to kill someone with that. It was just meant to force everyone else back. In Dignitas, they reacted immediately. So at least they saved Muradin for now. But they sacrificed 2 cooldowns to make it happen.
Yeah, was nicely done by Shibley and Krolu there, but not gonna work. And Shibley may pay for this. There's a flame strike. Shibley able to get out of here. Mini ETC dueling with Mopsio. In comes the drag. Gonna try and take him down. There's the dwarf toss once again. They really want him. They didn't get him last time. JPL taking a lot of hits though. There's the Starfall, and no one will go down this time.
These double combos with Starfall and Phoenix are so damn scary. It's actually incredible. Like, every time you move into that death zone, you see just hit points dropping super fast. When it comes to damage, by the way, Kalthas is currently on 39,000 and is doubling the damage output of Stitches, who is actually the biggest damage dealer on the part of the Silence Monkeys. Dignitas is so far playing a flawless game here. They have 10 kills against 3. They are playing an incredible match. They are way, way ahead in this second map. They already have the lead in the best of 3 series. If they can continue this, then it's going to be very tricky for the Silence Monkeys to come back into this series and turn this game around.
Yeah, the Silence Monkeys have to really bring it together here. For now, though, Dignitas continuing to show dominance. They have, with the 16 talent lead, there's nothing Silence Monkeys could do, except maybe kill Dahaka, as he's the only one alone, and Bleketny not able to do anything about it. We see Uther and Stitches on the way up, but Whoopi has already pulled back. He's not going to get himself caught.
He's playing a great game on his Dahaka. He has 16,000 experience already gathered compared to the 7,000 that we see for Greyman, which is the hero with the most experience gained on the side of the Silence Monkeys. An attempt to go quickly for that particular boss here. They have still the talent lead over the opponent, but they had to retreat since the Silence Monkeys were making their way over. But at the same time, we see still Bakery soaking the last few shots of the temple and not only dropping the keep at the bot lane, but also putting even more pressure onto the structures in the middle of the map. Level 16 is very close, though, for the Silence Monkeys, and that might allow them to finally take an even fight against Team Dignitas.
Yeah, and that's what they're going to want to do here. You see Muradin playing very aggressively, and Stitches already on his way up from the bot lane because they know they need to start grouping up and looking for some aggression. And their aggression is push the mid lane and see what they can do. Mopsio acting as a ward, giving some vision for his team, but Dignitas not having it. They take the long way round and decide to defend via their fort.
Executioner taken, lockdown against ETC, but he gets away, at least for now. We have Executioner on Vala and also taken on Greymane.
Oh, wow.
Massive, massive damage output now on the side of the Silence Monkeys. They really want to win a battle. They know that they have roughly 1 level until Dignitas hits 20, where they can make that happen. And they go again for JPL, Ancestral Healing, better safe than sorry. Here comes ETC. Are we going to see that mosh pit? Stuns on the other hand against Vala, and already she's dead, and the same is also true for Greymane and for Uther. The mosh is through, a double, a triple, a quad kill, and they are aiming for the quintuple for the team wipe as Mopsio is being attacked. Not wasting any more time now, though, since they have an opportunity to go straight down to the bot lane, and they are eager to finish this game.
Yeah, they're going to just end the game here. Whoopi was looking for Mopsio to at least stop him porting. He will not find him, though. He will be able to go down to the... He won't be able to join his team, actually, so instead he's going to go for the temple, while his team attempts to end the game, but Mopsio being a massive pain here, slowing them down as best he can. He has reverberation. He will survive and stop Dignitas going for his core. He actually protects it through the shield.
So, at the end of the day, Dignitas wasting a gigantic amount of time trying to go for core that they don't even scratch. They could have gone for boss, or they could have gone for anything else. They still have a massive lead, though, thanks to the level 20 that just now hit. And with the Celestial Wrath is, of course, helping them. They have the Apex Predator, too. And we're looking at Master of Flames on the side of Kalthas. A 4-3 level lead, roughly. And both of those temples are currently being claimed by them. But JPL is in trouble, as he's very much alone in the mid lane. Barely escapes here, as we're seeing the Silence Monkeys jump onto the temple.
Mini ETC able to escape here, and Dignitas beginning to roll their way back in. Whoopi will soon be done with the shots in the top temple and be able to come down and help, but JPL playing very passively as he's still 28 seconds away from that mosh pit.
Look at that damage! Again, Phoenix and also Starfall. Absolutely insane. ETC gets away, gets healed by Bakery with the Ancestral, and an attempt by Vala to lock down Whoopi. Not successful here. They get the shots at the top. We also have the temple yielding a few more for the team that is going to claim that. In the mid lane, on the other hand, the shots are nearly depleted, and massive damage towards the middle of the map, where we're seeing another keep about to fall. Should just barely be able to take that down with the last few remaining shots, and yes, it does. Keep in the mid lane has been eliminated. The bottom keep is done as well. And up to the top, we still have a few shots remaining as Whoopi is going for temple number 2.
Yeah, we'll be going to soak those out with the help of Bakery, and they will be able to clear those. We'll be even tunneling down to help his team here around this area. They're going to try and take down Stitches. Stitches has many reinforcements, though, but they're not enough. He gets annihilated by the Flame Strike.
He only wanted to play, and he is getting taken out like trash. 21 the level on... Oh, again the attempt to go straight in for the mosh pit. This time not as successful as before, but there comes the jump on Mopsio, a bit too short, and JPL might be able to just slide in again and take down Muradin. He's attempting to do exactly that, and yes, Muradin is gone. They are aiming for the core once more, and this time they might be able to actually finish it.
Yeah, this time they have all 5. This time there's 3 people alive instead of 1 this time, though. But one of them isn't Muradin, so they're just going to go for it as best as they can. Will be trying to distract as best he can to give his team the time. He activates his healing for his essence. The core is going down, and that is going to be GG! And Dignitas will qualify for Dreamhack Tours at the EU Summer Regionals.
Very well done. A 2-0 victory over the Silenced Monkeys, finishing the series off on Sky Temple. GG and congratulations.